Hey there, spiritual warriors and truth seekers. Welcome to a video that might just change your life. Before we begin, I want to share something powerful with you. Last month, I received a message from Sarah in Minnesota. For 3 years, she'd been experiencing the worst luck imaginable. Lost her job, her health deteriorated, and her relationships fell apart one by one. Doctors couldn't explain her symptoms. Financial advisors were puzzled by her money troubles. Then she discovered what I'm about to share with you today. And within weeks, her life began turning around. What Sarah discovered was an ancient spiritual cleansing technique from the secret teachings of Saint Cyprian, a method so powerful that most practitioners keep it hidden from the public. I'm talking about using your own urine to break, reverse, and destroy any witchcraft spell or negative energy directed at you. Yeah, I know how it sounds, but stick with me. The truth often lies beyond our comfort zone. My name is your name. And for over 20 years, I've studied the authentic grimoires and spiritual texts that most people never get access to. What I'm about to reveal today comes directly from the true book of Saint Cyprian, not the watered-down versions you find in bookstores, but the original manuscript preserved by practitioners who understood its true power. Let me be clear, this isn't some new age invention or a modern reinterpretation. This is ancient spiritual technology that has been used for centuries by those who understand that sometimes you need to fight fire with fire. Evil forces use bodily fluids in their darkest works, and Saint Cyprian, who was once a dark sorcerer himself before his conversion, knew that these same elements could be used for protection and reversal. Now, I need to warn you, what I'm about to teach is not for the casual viewer or the spiritually unprepared. This ritual requires focus, faith, and precise execution. Many people attempt similar works, but fail because they miss critical steps or don't understand the spiritual principles behind them. Stay with me until the very end of this video, because I'm going to share a crucial final step that 99% of practitioners overlook, a step that makes the difference between temporary relief and permanent liberation from spiritual attacks. This is the exact step that changed everything for Sarah and countless others I've guided through this process. Before we continue, take a moment to check in with yourself. Are you ready to reclaim your spiritual sovereignty? Are you prepared to take action against those who may be working against you in the spiritual realm? If so, then you're in the right place at the right time. Sometimes the universe brings us exactly what we need when we need it most. And perhaps that's why you're watching this video right now. I'm going to break down this powerful Saint Cyprian ritual into simple, actionable steps that anyone can follow. Even if you've never performed spiritual work before, don't worry, I'll guide you through every detail. And for those of you with experience, prepare to discover nuances and secrets that will take your spiritual protection to an entirely new level. So grab something to take notes with, because what I'm about to share might be the most important spiritual teaching you'll ever receive. This is about more than just breaking spells. It's about reclaiming your personal power and putting an end to spiritual interference once and for all. Are you ready? Let's begin this journey into one of Saint Cyprian's most powerful protection rituals. Before we dive into the ritual itself, it's crucial that you understand how to recognize if you're actually under a spiritual attack. Many people suffer needlessly because they don't recognize the signs of witchcraft, curses, or negative energy directed at them. They waste time and money on doctors, therapists, and other solutions that can't address the root cause of their problems. The first major sign is persistent bad luck that defies logical explanation. We're not talking about normal life challenges here. We're talking about a pattern of disasters that seem to follow you no matter what you do. You might notice that every time something good happens, 3 bad things immediately follow. Job opportunities fall through at the last minute. Promising relationships suddenly end for bizarre reasons. Business deals collapse unexpectedly. Pay attention to your physical health. Witchcraft often manifests as mysterious illnesses that doctors can't diagnose or treat effectively. You might experience sudden chronic fatigue, unexplained pain that moves around your body, persistent headaches that start and stop without reason, or digestive issues that no medication seems to help. Many victims report feeling like something is literally draining their life force because spiritually something is. Your sleep patterns are another critical indicator. Do you have recurring nightmares? Do you dream of being attacked, chased, or trapped? Do you see strange figures, shadows, or animals in your dreams? In the Cyprian tradition, these aren't just bad dreams. They're spiritual battles happening while your conscious mind is at rest. Some people report waking up with unexplained scratches, bruises, or feeling like something was pressing down on their chest. Relationship disruption is a common target of negative spiritual work. If you notice friends and family suddenly turning against you without clear reason, or if arguments erupt over trivial matters, this could be a sign. Many curses are specifically designed to isolate you from your support network, making you more vulnerable to further attacks. Financial chaos is another red flag. Money that seems to slip through your fingers no matter how carefully you budget. Unexpected expenses that drain your savings. Job loss or sudden reduction in income. In the spiritual realm, your financial well-being is connected to your overall energy flow, making it a prime target for those wishing to harm you. Now, ask yourself honestly, how many of these signs resonate with your current situation? One or two might be coincidence, but if you're nodding your head to several of these, there's a strong possibility you're experiencing spiritual interference. I want you to do something right now. Take a deep breath and reflect on when these problems began. Was there a clear turning point in your life? Did these issues start after a specific conflict with someone? Did they begin after receiving a gift from someone you don't fully trust, or after someone was in your home? Identifying this timeline can help confirm whether you're dealing with intentional spiritual attacks or simply life's natural challenges. Remember, recognition is the first step toward liberation. Now that you understand what to look for, let's learn about the spiritual authority behind the ritual we're about to perform, Saint Cyprian himself, and why his methods are particularly effective against even the most powerful forms of witchcraft. To understand the power of the ritual we're about to perform, you need to know about the extraordinary spiritual authority behind it. Saint Cyprian of Antioch wasn't born a saint, far from it. Before his conversion to Christianity, Cyprian was one of the most powerful sorcerers of the ancient world, deeply versed in all forms of occult arts, necromancy, and dark magic. Born in the 3rd century, Cyprian spent decades mastering forbidden knowledge. He studied in the mystical centers of Egypt, Chaldea, and India, learning secrets that few mortals ever accessed. He communed with demons, performed powerful enchantments, and was feared for his ability to harm enemies through spiritual means. In short, he knew every trick in the book because he helped write the book. Legend tells us that everything changed when he was hired to use his dark arts against a Christian woman named Justina. Despite employing his most powerful spells, he couldn't break through her spiritual protection. This failure shocked him and led him to question everything he believed. What power could possibly resist his magic? This crisis led to his dramatic conversion. Cyprian not only embraced Christianity, but also used his intimate knowledge of dark practices to help others who were suffering from magical attacks. He essentially became the world's first spiritual warfare specialist, using his insider knowledge to develop protection methods that actually worked against real occult threats. What makes Saint Cyprian so unique in spiritual tradition is precisely this dual nature. He understood both sides of the spiritual battle. Unlike other saints who might have led pure lives, Cyprian knew exactly how dark magic operated because he once wielded it himself. When he created rituals for protection and cleansing, He designed them specifically to counter the exact techniques used by those practicing harmful magic. The grimoire attributed to him, commonly known as the Book of Saint Cyprian, contains some of the most effective countermeasures against witchcraft ever recorded. Various versions exist, but the true teachings were preserved through oral tradition among certain spiritual lineages and later recorded in manuscripts that rarely see public circulation. What I'm sharing with you today comes from these authentic sources, a ritual specifically designed by someone who knew exactly how urine was used in binding spells and domination work, and who created a perfect counter-ritual using the same element to break those bindings and return negative energy to its source. Now that you understand who created this ritual and why his methods carry such authority, let's prepare ourselves properly for this powerful spiritual work. Before we even think about performing the main ritual, we need to establish strong spiritual protection. This preparatory phase is absolutely critical, and it's the exact step that most people skip, which is why they experience backlash or limited results. Remember, we're dealing with a ritual designed to break and return negative energy. Without proper protection, you're essentially handling spiritual toxins without spiritual hazmat gear. First, you need to prepare a special protective bath based on Saint Cyprian's teachings. This isn't just a symbolic cleansing. It creates an energetic shield around your aura that will prevent any negative energy from attaching to you during the ritual process. For this bath, you'll need 3 quarts of clean water. Spring water is ideal, but filtered tap water works. Tablespoons of sea salt, not table salt. 7 bay leaves, a handful of fresh rosemary, dried will work if fresh isn't available. Cloves of garlic. Crushed 1 tablespoon of olive oil, optional but recommended. 3 drops of frankincense essential oil. Bring the water to a boil in a large pot that you use exclusively for spiritual purposes. Once boiling, reduce to a simmer and add all ingredients. As you add each item, state its purpose. For example, when adding the sea salt, you might say, "With this salt, I cleanse and protect my energy from all negative influences." Allow this mixture to simmer for 13 minutes. This number is significant in Cyprianic tradition, as it represents breaking through negative forces. While it simmers, visualize the water absorbing protective and cleansing properties, glowing with a bright blue or white light. After 13 minutes, remove from heat and let it cool until it's comfortable to the touch. Strain the liquid into a container. Before your regular shower or bath, stand in your tub or shower and pour this mixture over your body from the neck down, then from the crown of your head. Allow it to air dry on your skin for at least several minutes before rinsing with regular water. While performing this bath, recite St. Cyprian's prayer of protection. The traditional version is in Latin, but an English translation works perfectly well. Saint Cyprian, once master of the dark arts and now master of protection, shield me with your power. As you resisted evil and turned to light, help me turn back all negative forces sent against me. Let no curse, spell, or evil intent penetrate my spiritual armor. Through your intercession, I am protected, cleansed, and strengthened against all enemies, visible and invisible. Amen. Repeat this prayer 3 times during your bath. Next, you need to prepare your working space. This ritual doesn't require a full formal altar, but you do need to create a protected area. Choose a private space where you won't be disturbed. Ideally, this would be done during a waning moon phase to enhance the banishing aspects of the ritual. You'll need 3 candles, 1 black, representing Saint Cyprian's mastery over darkness, 1 purple for spiritual power and breaking of hexes, and 1 white for protection and purification. Arrange them in a triangle with the black candle at the top, forming the point of the triangle furthest from you. Before lighting the candles, cleanse the space by burning either white sage or Palo Santo wood. Move clockwise around your working area, allowing the smoke to reach all corners. As you do this, visualize any negative or stagnant energies dissolving and being replaced by clear, protective light. Now light each candle in this order: white first, protection, then purple, power, then black, mastery over darkness. As you light each one, ask for its specific energy to assist in your work. One exclusive tip that few know: place a small mirror facing outward behind your candles. This creates what's known in Cyprianic practice as a reflection barrier that will help ensure any negative energy that tries to return during the ritual is immediately bounced away from you. Finally, put on clothing that's either new or has been specially cleaned for this purpose. Many practitioners prefer to wear white or purple when performing this type of protective work. Whatever you choose, make sure it's comfortable and that you haven't worn it during any negative experiences. This preparation might seem elaborate, but remember, we're creating a spiritual environment where you can safely handle and redirect powerful negative energies. Skip this preparation, and you risk absorbing the very energies you're trying to remove from your life. Now that you're properly protected, let's gather all the materials you'll need for the main ritual. I'll explain not just what you need, but why each element matters in the spiritual science behind this powerful working. The centerpiece of this ritual is, of course, your own urine. According to St. Cyprian's teachings, morning urine is preferred because it contains the concentrated essence of your body's overnight spiritual cleansing process. Your body naturally processes and filters energies while you sleep, and these energies are expressed through your first urination of the day. This isn't just folk magic. It's based on the principle that bodily fluids contain your unique energetic signature, which is essential for breaking spells specifically targeted at you. You'll need a small glass container to collect this urine. The container should be clean and ideally previously unused. If possible, use a dark-colored glass bottle. Green or amber is traditional in Cyprianic practice because these colors help contain and transmute negative energies. The bottle should have a secure cap or cork. Aim for something around 4 to 8 ounces in capacity. You don't need a large amount for this working. For those who can't find an appropriate glass bottle, a small mason jar can work as a substitute. However, avoid plastic if at all possible, as plastic doesn't hold spiritual energies as effectively and may interfere with the ritual's power. Next, you'll need parchment paper for creating the name paper and sigil. Traditional parchment made from animal skin is ideal, but difficult to find. A high-quality, unlined cotton paper works well as a modern substitute. The important thing is that it's natural material. Avoid regular printer paper with its chemical treatments if possible. Cut 2 pieces, one approximately 3 inches for the name paper, and another 4 by 4 inches for the sigil. You'll need 2 different writing instruments. For the name paper, traditionally you'd use dragon's blood ink, but a red pen or marker dedicated solely to spiritual work is acceptable. For the sigil, you'll need a black pen or marker also dedicated to spiritual work. The different colors represent different energetic purposes. Red for commanding and breaking, black for binding and sealing. Protective gloves are essential, not just for hygienic reasons, but for spiritual separation. Latex, nitrile, or even clean cotton gloves will work. These create a barrier ensuring that while you're handling materials charged with negative energy, that energy doesn't transfer directly to your skin. You'll need matches or a lighter specifically for ritual use. Wooden matches are traditional in Cyprianic practice, with sulfur matches being particularly favored for their connection to purification through fire. A small metal bowl or ashtray will be needed for safely burning the sigil. This should be fireproof and stable. Finally, prepare a small amount of sea salt and a pinch of dried rosemary to add to your bottle after the main ritual is complete. These act as preservatives on both a physical and spiritual level. Optional but recommended materials include black thread for binding the bottle after completion, and beeswax or black candle wax for sealing it. If you're having trouble finding any of these materials, remember that intention trumps perfection. It's better to perform the ritual with slightly modified materials than not to perform it at all. The power lies primarily in the procedure and your focused intent, not in having the exact traditional tools. Now we begin the core ritual process. Follow these steps precisely. Each detail has been carefully preserved in the Cyprianic tradition for its specific spiritual purpose. We'll start with preparing the bottle and creating the name paper. First, create a sacred space around your working area by drawing an imaginary circle clockwise around yourself and your materials. As you do this, say, "I create this sacred space where only truth and power may enter." All negative forces are banished from this circle by the authority of Saint Cyprian, Master of Protection. Take your bottle and purify it thoroughly. First, wash it with clean water. Then hold it over the smoke from your white or purple candle to spiritually cleanse it. As you pass it through the smoke, say, "With fire and smoke I purify this vessel, making it worthy to contain powerful magic. Let it be cleansed of all previous energies and dedicated to this sacred work." Next, sprinkle a small amount of salt inside the bottle. This acts as a spiritual antiseptic that prepares the container to handle negative energies without being corrupted by them. As you add the salt, say, "With this salt, I create sacred ground within this vessel where no evil may take root." Now, put on your protective gloves. This is crucial, not just for hygiene, but because we're about to handle materials that will be charged with the negative energies we're working to remove. The gloves create a spiritual barrier between you and these energies. Take your first piece of parchment paper and your red pen. This will become what's known in Cyprianic practice as the name paper. If you know who has worked against you spiritually, write their full name in the center of the paper. Write it continuously without lifting your pen from the paper if possible. If you don't know who might be working against you, which is often the case, write "all enemies, visible and invisible, known and unknown, who seek to harm me through spiritual means." Write this in a circle, creating a continuous loop of text with no beginning or end. Below this, write your own name, but with a specific modification that's crucial to the Cyprianic tradition. Write your name backward from right to left. This creates what's called a spiritual mirror that reflects harmful energy back to its source. Once the names are written, fold the paper in a very specific way. First, fold it away from you, pushing the energy away. Then fold it from right to left, then from left to right, and finally from bottom to top. As you make each fold, say, "I bind this energy. I return this energy. I reject this energy. I overcome this energy." When fully folded, the paper should form a small packet. Hold this packet between your hands for a moment and clearly state your intention. "By the power of Saint Cyprian, I declare that all negative magic sent against me is hereby contained, reversed, and returned to its source. As I bind this paper, so too do I bind the harmful intentions within it." Now, there's a critical step that many instructions omit. You need to activate the name paper by breathing on it once. In the Cyprianic tradition, breath carries spiritual authority. It represents your life force and intention being impressed upon the material. After breathing on it, immediately place the folded paper into your empty glass bottle. A word of warning. At this stage, some people report feeling resistance or unease. This is normal. It means you're effectively capturing negative energy that's been directed at you. If you feel suddenly dizzy, excessively tired, or anxious, pause for a moment and reinforce your protection by placing your hand over your heart and saying, "Saint Cyprian shields me. No harm comes to me through this work." Some practitioners enhance the power of this step by adding a personal touch to the name paper before folding it. This could be a small drop of your saliva applied before putting on gloves, a strand of hair, or a fingerprint made with a drop of olive oil. These personal elements strengthen your spiritual claim over the working. A common mistake to avoid: never write the enemy's name in black ink for this ritual. Red is essential because in color magic, red represents command, power, and the breaking of negative influences. Black would actually strengthen their power rather than contain it. Another mistake is reusing a bottle that previously contained alcohol, medicine, or chemicals. The residual energies can interfere with the ritual. If you absolutely must reuse a bottle, purify it by soaking it in salt water for a full day and night before using it for this ritual. Once the name paper is securely inside the bottle, hold the bottle between your palms and rotate it clockwise 3 times while saying, "What was sent against me is now captured. What was hidden is now revealed. What was powerful against me is now powerless." This completes the first crucial phase of the ritual. We've created a spiritual container and identified the source of negative energy. In the next phase, we'll add the powerful catalyst, your urine, and create the sigil that will activate the full reversal process. Now we enter the second phase of this powerful ritual, adding the urine and creating the activation sigil. This is where the real transformation happens, where we turn a negative spiritual attack back on itself. First, ensure your gloves are securely on. Take your container of morning urine and approach it with reverence. In the Cyprianic tradition, bodily fluids aren't viewed as unclean, but as powerful carriers of personal energy. Think of this as your spiritual DNA that can identify and counteract any curse specifically targeted at you. Before adding the urine to the bottle containing the name paper, hold the urine container briefly near the purple candle, not directly in the flame, and recite this Cyprianic prayer of reversal. As water flows downhill, as the moon wanes to darkness, as winter follows fall, so too does this negative energy return to its source. What was sent is returned. What was done is undone. By my will and the authority of St. Cyprian, this is law in the spiritual realm. Now carefully pour the urine into the bottle with the name paper. Fill it approximately halfway. You need to leave room for the sigil ashes later. As you pour, visualize your urine as glowing with protective white or golden light. This isn't just a physical substance, it's a spiritual tool charged with your personal energy and intent. Seal the bottle temporarily. Hold it in both hands and shake it in a counterclockwise direction exactly 9 times. In the Cyprianic tradition, counterclockwise movements are used for banishing and reversal work, while 9 is a number of completion and finality. As you shake it, feel the negative energies being neutralized and prepared for reversal. Place the bottle down near your candles and pick up your second piece of parchment paper and black pen. Now we'll create what's known as the Cyprianic reversal sigil. This is one of the most powerful elements of the ritual, a symbol that speaks directly to the spiritual realm in its own language. Draw a perfect circle, taking up most of the paper. This circle represents containment and wholeness. Inside this circle, draw a 5-pointed star, pentagram, starting from the top point and drawing it in one continuous line. The pentagram in this context represents mastery over elemental forces. In the center of the pentagram, draw a simple triangle pointing upward. This represents the ascending spirit and the fire that transforms. Inside this triangle, write your initials, but reversed or mirrored. Around the outer circle, draw 8 small rays or lines extending outward like a sun. These represent the breaking of barriers and restrictions placed upon you. At the very bottom of the paper, below the circle, draw a horizontal line with 3 vertical lines passing through it. This is an ancient symbol representing the severing of connections, in this case, severing the connection between you and the negative energy. As you complete the sigil, focus intensely on your desired outcome. Feel the power of this symbol as a key that unlocks your freedom from spiritual attack. Hold the completed sigil between your palms and charge it with your intention by saying, "With this symbol, I activate the reversal. What was bound is now free. What was sent is now returned. By St. Cyprian's power and my own authority, this working is sealed. Now comes a critical moment in the ritual, the burning of the sigil. Hold the sigil paper by one corner over your fireproof bowl. Using the black candle, light the opposite corner of the paper. As it burns, say, "As this sigil is transformed by fire, so is this negative energy transformed and returned." Watch carefully as the paper burns. In the Cyprianic tradition, the way the paper burns can provide insights about your situation. If it burns quickly with a high flame, the negative energy is strong, but will be swiftly returned. If it burns slowly with a low flame, the attack has been subtle and ongoing. If it burns unevenly, multiple sources may be working against you. If it goes out and needs to be relit, there's strong resistance that requires extra determination. Let the paper burn completely to ashes. Once cooled for a few moments, carefully open your bottle and add the ashes directly to the urine and name paper mixture. As you do this, say, "With these ashes, the transformation is complete." The circle of return is closed. Reseal the bottle tightly. Now take your black thread and wrap it around the neck of the bottle, crossing it over itself with each wrap. Make 7 wraps total, then tie it securely with 3 knots. As you tie each knot, say, "I bind this working, I seal this reversal, I complete this return." For additional power, some Cyprianic practitioners drip wax from the black candle onto the cork or cap to create a final seal. If you choose to do this, drip the wax in the pattern of a cross while saying, "Sealed by fire, bound by will, protected by Saint Cyprian." This completes the active portion of the ritual. You've now created a powerful spiritual device that will continuously work to return negative energy to its source. In the next section, I'll explain the spiritual theory behind why this works so effectively. Let's take a moment to understand why this ritual is so effective from a spiritual perspective. This isn't just folk magic. There are specific metaphysical principles at work that Saint Cyprian incorporated into his protective practices after his conversion. First, let's address the use of urine. In spiritual traditions worldwide, bodily fluids are understood to contain your energetic signature, a unique spiritual fingerprint that identifies you in the non-physical realms. When someone works magic against you, they typically need something connected to you, your name, image, or ideally a physical link like hair, nails, or bodily fluids. These are called taglock materials in magical traditions. What makes the Cyprianic reversal so powerful is that it uses your own fresh, self-given taglock material willingly offered, which creates what's known as perfect spiritual consent. This consensual use of your own material creates a spiritual authority that can override non-consensual uses of your energy or essence. Your willing participation creates what Saint Cyprian called the sovereign right of return. Essentially, you're claiming your spiritual territory. The principle of reversal is central to this ritual. In spiritual warfare, Saint Cyprian taught that the most effective defense isn't just shielding, it's controlled reflection. Think of it like a martial art, where you use an attacker's own force against them. This is why we use specific directional movements, counterclockwise, reversed writing, and mirror elements. The combination of the name paper and the sigil creates what's called a dual activation system in Cyprianic practice. The name paper identifies and captures the negative energy, while the sigil transforms and redirects it. This two-step process is more effective than simple protection because it doesn't just block the energy, it actually returns it to its source through spiritual pathways already established by the original sender. The burning of the sigil is particularly significant. Fire represents rapid transformation in all spiritual traditions. When we burn the sigil, we're not destroying it. We're changing its form from physical to non-physical, allowing it to operate in the spiritual realm where the attack originated. The ashes retain the full programming of the sigil, but are now in a form that can mix completely with the liquid, creating what Saint Cyprian called a perfect union of intent and vehicle. What makes this method superior to other protection rituals is that it doesn't require you to know who's attacking you. The spiritual principle of spiritual resonance ensures that the returned energy will find its way back to its origin through what mystics call the pathways of intent. Like a spiritual GPS system, negative energy naturally returns to its creator when properly redirected. St. Cyprian used these same principles during his lifetime to help those suffering from magical attacks. As a former sorcerer, he understood that the most effective countermeasures use the same channels as the original attack. Just like in modern medicine, how vaccines use modified forms of the very pathogens they protect against. This ritual doesn't just block or dispel negative energy, it creates an ongoing system that continues working until the reversal is complete, which is why it's so effective against persistent spiritual attacks. We've now reached the pivotal moment in our ritual, the formal conjuration and finalization that activates everything we've prepared. This is where we bring all the elements together through the power of sacred speech and intent. Hold your sealed bottle in your dominant hand, raising it to eye level. Fix your gaze upon it with unwavering focus. Now, with clear, commanding voice, recite the Cyprianic conjuration of reversal 3 times. The words must be spoken with absolute conviction. By the power of Saint Cyprian, once master of darkness and now master of light, I activate this vessel of return. What was sent against me is now contained. What was directed at me is now reversed. What was used to harm me now returns to its source. Through my bodily water, I reclaim my spiritual sovereignty. Through this sacred container, I establish the law of return. Through this conjuration, I complete the circle of justice. As was done to me, so returns to the doer, not by my vengeance, but by the natural law of spiritual balance. It is finished, it is sealed, it is done. The triple repetition is crucial. In Cyprianic tradition, the first speaking establishes, the second strengthens, and the third seals the intention in the spiritual realm. Pay attention to how you feel during these recitations. Many practitioners report sensations of heat in their hands, tingling, or a sudden lightness, as if a burden has been lifted. These are positive signs that the ritual is taking effect. After the third recitation, hold the bottle with both hands and rotate it clockwise 3 times. This final clockwise movement signals completion and sealing. Now lower the bottle and place it on the table before you. With the conjuration complete, it's time to prepare the bottle for its final resting place. This is where lunar timing becomes important. Ideally, this ritual should be completed during a waning moon phase, the period after the full moon, as it decreases toward the new moon. This phase naturally supports banishing, reversing, and diminishing negative influences. For maximum effectiveness, the bottle should be buried within 24 hours of completing the ritual. The traditional Cyprianic burial locations in order of preference are: first, at a crossroads away from your home. Crossroads have been considered places of spiritual power in virtually every tradition, including St. Cyprian's. They represent choice, change, and the intersection of worlds. By burying your bottle at a crossroads, you're placing the returned energy at a spiritual junction where it can find its way back to its source. Second, near running water, with the bottle pointing in the direction the water flows. Running water is a natural carrier and cleanser of energy. The flowing water will help carry the reverse negative energy away from you and assist in its return journey. Third, at the base of a strong, healthy tree, particularly an oak, pine, or ash. These trees are considered spiritually protective in the Cyprianic tradition and will help process and neutralize the negative energy. If none of these options are available to you, especially if you live in an urban environment, you can bury the bottle in a pot of soil on your balcony or in your yard. The key is that it must be covered completely with earth. When you bury the bottle, place it upside down in the earth. This inverted position reinforces the reversal aspect of the ritual. As you cover it with soil, speak these final words of power. As this bottle returns to the earth, so does this negative energy return to its source. by earth, water, fire, and air, by the power of St. Cyprian, this working is complete. What is buried here stays here, separate from me and my life. The circle is closed, the path is set, the return is assured. It is done. Cover the location with additional soil, and if possible, mark it with a small stone. Then walk away without looking back. This represents your energetic separation from the negative influences you've just contained and reversed. A note on timing. In traditional Cyprianic practice, the most powerful time to bury the bottle is at sunset, or during the witching hour between 3 and 4 a.m. However, your safety is paramount. Never put yourself in danger by visiting isolated locations at night. A burial during daylight hours is perfectly effective. One final, advanced technique that most practitioners aren't aware of. If you're experiencing especially powerful spiritual attacks, create and bury 3 identical bottles over 3 consecutive days, forming a triangle pattern if possible. This creates what St. Cyprian called a reversal network that is particularly powerful against complex or multiple sources of negative energy. This completes the active ritual work. Now let's discuss what to expect afterward and how to maintain your protection going forward. In the days following the ritual, you may experience a variety of physical, emotional, and spiritual reactions as the reversal process takes effect. Understanding these reactions will help you navigate this period successfully. First, many people report feeling unusually tired for 1 to 3 days after performing this ritual. This is normal and actually a positive sign. It indicates that your energy system is recalibrating and releasing the negative influences that have been affecting you. Honor this process by getting extra rest and drinking plenty of water to support your physical body through this spiritual detoxification. You might notice changes in your dream state. Some practitioners report more vivid dreams, often involving confrontations with unknown figures, traveling through strange landscapes, or finding lost objects. These symbolic dreams are your subconscious processing the spiritual changes. Keep a dream journal during this period if possible. The insights can be valuable for your ongoing protection. Be aware that as negative energy returns to its sender, you may experience what St. Cyprian called the last strike, a temporary intensification of the very problems you've been experiencing. This doesn't mean the ritual failed. Rather, it's like the final surge of a wave before it recedes completely. This effect typically lasts no more than 3 days. To maintain your protection during this sensitive period, perform a simple daily shielding. Each morning, take a moment to close your eyes and visualize a sphere of brilliant white or golden light surrounding your entire body. As you inhale, see this light growing stronger and brighter. As you exhale, see it solidifying into a protective shield. Affirm, I am protected by divine light. All negative energy continues to reverse away from me. Some people report unusual synchronicities or unexpected communications from people they've had conflicts with. This is often a sign that the reversal is affecting the conscious or unconscious sender of the negative energy. Maintain your boundaries during this time. There's no need to engage with these individuals. If you know or suspect who might have been working against you spiritually, avoid direct contact with them for at least 9 days after completing the ritual. This creates a clean, energetic separation that allows the reversal process to work without interference. For ongoing protection, place small bowls of salt in the corners of your living space, refreshing them weekly. Salt absorbs residual negative energy and helps maintain the clearer spiritual environment you've created. Finally, trust the process. The Cyprianic reversal ritual works on multiple levels simultaneously. Some effects will be immediately noticeable, while others operate more subtly and become apparent over time. The complete cycle of reversal traditionally takes 28 days, one full lunar cycle, to fully manifest. Remember that this ritual doesn't just remove negative influences. It creates space for positive energy to flow into your life. Be open to unexpected blessings and new opportunities that may appear as your spiritual landscape clears. We've come to the end of this powerful Cyprianic ritual for breaking and reversing negative spiritual influences using your own urine. Let's summarize what we've covered and emphasize the key points that will ensure your success. We began by exploring the signs of spiritual attack, those mysterious patterns of misfortune, health issues, relationship, conflicts, and financial problems that signal something beyond ordinary bad luck. Recognizing these signs is the first step toward reclaiming your spiritual sovereignty. We learned about Saint Cyprian himself, a former sorcerer who became one of history's most powerful spiritual protectors. His unique background gave him unparalleled insight into how negative magic works and how to counter it effectively. By working with his methods, you're drawing on centuries of proven spiritual technology. We carefully prepared ourselves with protective measures, the sacred bath, the creation of sacred space, and the proper spiritual mindset. Remember, this preparation isn't optional. It's essential for both your safety and the effectiveness of the ritual. The ritual itself followed specific steps, creating the name paper to identify and contain negative energy, adding your urine as both a personal link and a catalyst for transformation, creating and burning the reversal sigil, and finally performing the conjuration that activates the entire process. Each element plays a vital role in the complete system of reversal. We discussed where and how to bury the bottle to complete the physical portion of the ritual and reviewed what to expect in the days following the working. Remember that temporary intensification of symptoms often precedes complete relief. Don't be discouraged if things seem worse before they get better. Let me share a brief testimony that illustrates the power of this work. Michael from Colorado had been experiencing a devastating run of bad luck. 3 car accidents in 6 months, unexpected tax audits, and a mysterious illness doctors couldn't diagnose. After performing this ritual exactly as I've taught you, the pattern broke dramatically. Within 2 weeks, his health improved, his legal issues resolved unexpectedly, and he reported feeling like a dark cloud had lifted. 6 months later, he remains free of the negative patterns that had plagued him. Stories like Michael's aren't unusual. They're the expected outcome when this ritual is performed correctly, with faith and proper intent. The Cyprianic tradition has survived for centuries because it works. In future videos, I'll be sharing more of Saint Cyprian's powerful protection methods, including his rituals for home cleansing, financial recovery after spiritual attack, and relationship healing. If you found this information valuable, make sure you're subscribed so you don't miss these upcoming teachings. Remember, you have a natural right to spiritual well-being. No one has the authority to interfere with your energy or your life through occult means. This ritual is not about fear or vengeance. It's about restoring the natural spiritual balance and returning unwanted energies to their source. Thank you for joining me on this journey into authentic spiritual protection. May Saint Cyprian watch over you and guide you to complete freedom from all negative influences. Stay protected, stay empowered, and remember, your spiritual sovereignty is your birthright.